Hi, I'm Ash Watson. Welcome to the Coolock Library Makerspace. We have a few tools for textiles work here at the Makerspace. We have this dressmaker's mannequin and we have a couple of really great sewing machines. And one of these machines is also an embroidery machine. Machine sewing takes quite a bit of practice. I'm not particularly good at it, but let's see what we can do using this machine as an embroidery machine.
Now, before we get started, let's talk about safety. The main risk with both sewing machines is from the needle. The needles are super sharp, so you want to be really careful handling them. While the machine is running, you want to keep hands well clear of the needle and the presser foot. You'll have to get close to the needle at certain points. It's a really good idea to use this button in these cases. As long as this screen is shown, accidentally pushing buttons or the pedal won't move the needle. You need this added safety when changing bobbins, threads, removing trailing thread, changing or checking the presser foot, or changing or checking the needle itself. Another risk comes from needles snapping or shattering. Be aware that this can and does happen, and always make sure your needles are straight, sharp, and all parts are securely tightened in before running the machine. There's also the risk of getting pinched by the presser foot, so again, keep your hands clear. Sewing machines are a bit complicated when you first use them, and this one is no exception. I would recommend browsing the manuals and design guides for this machine before coming in. You can download them for free from the Brother website, and the hard copies are on hand in the Makerspace. There are a few things we need to do to use the machine for embroidery. First of all, the thread used on the bobbin, that is the thread on the underside of your embroidered pattern, needs to be the correct 60-weight thread. Here I'm winding and threading the bobbin. It might be worthwhile winding a couple of bobbins for larger jobs, as you may have to load a fresh bobbin at some point during the job. The embroidery presser foot is foot Q, so if one of the other feet is attached, remove it. The embroidery stage needs to be fitted. The machine senses when it's attached. Thread the needle with embroidery thread following the numbers, and use the inbuilt needle threader. Now I'll fit the embroidery foot, that's foot Q, and make sure it's well tightened. The piece to be embroidered is held taut in the embroidery hoop. You can use this guide insert to help with positioning. The maximum embroiderable area is 10 by 10 centimeters square. For knitted or stretchable materials like t-shirts, you definitely need to use iron-on interfacing material to stabilize the fabric so it doesn't deform. The trick is, ideally, to stretch the fabric tight enough so that it sounds like a drum when tapped. It can take a few goes of stretching and pressing the ring into the hoop to get a good result. The hoop snaps into the stage and moves as the piece is embroidered. You may need to pin parts of the piece to keep them from ending up over or under the hoop or otherwise getting in the way. The machine has a collection of built-in images and text options. Here I'm selecting one of the many built-in Disney images. Images can be rotated, resized, and moved within the embroiderable area of the hoop. There are a few built-in text fonts to choose from. Text and images can be combined into one image. The preview button gives a good indication of what it will look like once embroidered. It's a good idea to get your thread colors in order first. If you aren't using the exact color numbers from the design, it's best to try and match the colors against the colors in the design guides. When everything is good to go, the first color is loaded and the job starts. This machine holds one thread at a time, so the thread needs to be manually changed for each new color. I've cut that out in this time lapse. I also had to change the bobbin a few times during this job. It was quite a dense design and it ended up using quite a lot of thread. Once done, there's a bit of tidy up of bridged threads to be done here and there. You can save designs made on the machine onto a USB key or onto the machine itself. You can also load files onto the machine. The machine can use tajima.dst files or brother.pes files. For the Tajima files, you will have to remember the colors or set the colors for the different parts on the machine itself. You can download free PES files from the Brother website. Some people sell embroidery files on sites like Etsy. You can also design and export your own files for embroidery. Now, sadly, Brother's recommended software, PE Design, is fairly expensive, but luckily the open source community have provided a free plugin for Inkscape, which is a great free and open source vector graphics software. The plugin is called InkStitch. There are tutorials on the site on how to use it. To get started, I would recommend following the Getting Started and Workflow tutorials on the site. There are also tutorials on YouTube. Once I got my stitch order right and checked how it looked in the simulator, I saved this to the USB drive as a .dst file. Then I set the colors manually on the machine and ran it. I think it actually turned out pretty nice. So that was embroidery on this machine, but it can actually do quite a lot more, including monogramming and custom stitch patterns, as well as loads of built-in stitch patterns. Download the manuals and the design guides, and have a look at patterns on the Brother site, and have a look at InkStitch as well. I can't wait to see what you come up with.